chance to renew our sovereignty and build a nation there once again. Only this time, we decided that we wanted our nation, our modern Jewish state, to be a democracy. A parliamentary democracy, yes, but a democracy nonetheless. As was declared by Israel's first Prime Minister, David Ben-Gurion, on May 14, 1948, the state of Israel will be based on the precepts of liberty, justice, and peace taught by the Hebrew prophets, will uphold the full social and political equality of all its citizens without distinction of race, creed, or sex, will guarantee full freedom of conscience, worship, education, and culture. With these fundamental assertions forming her foundation, the Third Commonwealth of the Jewish people, the modern state of Israel, was born. We have returned to our land. Now, the hard work of building a modern Jewish democracy needed to begin. However, since before her first Independence Day, Israel has had to endure attacks by her neighbors and remains under attack to this day. This is one of the reasons why certain aspects of democracy are weak in our modern Jewish state. Building a healthy democracy has yielded to an almost exclusive focus on Israel's security. But perhaps now, despite the Arab Spring and nuclear red lines, we are actually secure enough to focus on building a healthy Jewish democracy too. A place where matters of personal status and spirit are governed by a public Jewish law, which makes room for vibrancy and creativity. In this great nation, in the modern state of Israel, the spiritual civil rights of all Jews, regardless of gender or adjective, will be protected, not just in our day, but in days to come. As a passionate Zionist, this is my cause and concern. Today, the ultra-Orthodox hegemony over certain matters in the public sphere suffocates freedom of religious expression. It contravenes promises of social equality, driving Jews away from Judaism, especially in the Jewish state. This hegemony stems from the historic status quo, which distributes neither civil burdens nor benefits fairly. Let me be clear. The status quo, the current state of the public Jewish law in the state of Israel, is a cause of concern. So we ask, what are the common threads that truly tie us together, that bind us to each other as a people, a seemingly eternal people that has been reborn in our time into a nation state? What are those principles that make us the children of Israel? What do we need to hear and to understand to be united, not only in our day, but in the days to come? One summer day in Jerusalem, not so very long ago, I sat in my garden and wondered what my ancestor may have heard in days gone by.
Did the birds join in chorus? Did the birds
year 5770, I was at Hakotel HaMaravi, the Western Wall in Jerusalem, with Anat Hoffman and the Women of the Wall. In full voice, I joined in song as over 150 women praised God through the words of Hallel, resounding like a modern-day chorus of Levites. How disturbing that a policeman of the Jewish state told me to sing softer. That same policeman arrested Anat for carrying a Torah away from the Kotel Plaza. Many pictures were taken of that day, and those images are a cause of concern. On a hot Jerusalem day in mid-July, we learned that the camera does not lie. Pictures from our holy place show the strength on Anat's face, embracing and protecting our Torah. To the shock of Jews from near and far, each standing with mouth open and ajar, as the police of the Jewish state bow to the fear and hate of those who deny a woman's public right to pray at the Western Wall in her own way. Do we dare to sit in silence as this tyranny approaches? No. The time has come to say to our state that this way encroaches upon the rights of all Jews who seek the sacred at the Western Wall. On Israel, the pictures and the videos, like shofars, call us to remember that intolerance and hatred were the spark, the smoldering ember that ignited the flames of destruction in days all gone by. Just like sacred memory, these images do not lie. Two years and 4 months later, on Rosh Chodesh Kislev 5773, I was once again with the Women of the Wall. Again, women were arrested, this time because of the type of tallit they were wearing. These arrests were made at the same time Israel was under siege from Hamas by rockets. In fact, as we gathered to begin our prayers, we learned that 3 had died in Kiryat Malachi in such an attack. Despite the loss, we carried on, raising our voices, again like a chorus of Levites, singing for peace. As sirens sounded throughout the south on Rosh Chodesh Kislev, and then to everyone's shock in Jerusalem in the next evening on Erev Shabbat, it became apparent that our struggle for religious freedom at the Kotel and our quest for peace exist in harmony. Failure to declare and act upon this truth is a cause of concern. While sirens went, we sang Hallel, we sang of peace, we sang for peace. Oh, Iron Dome, protect my home. We sing of peace, of sacred peace. Sukkot Shalom, protect our homes. Anu Nashim, Shir HaShalom. Can multiple ways of being Jewish live in harmony in Israel? Traditionally, the prayer Shema Yisrael sings of one power above that unites us through belief and behavior into a people. Yet, in modern history, Israel declares herself to be a parliamentary democracy governed by coalitions of political parties that express the will of the people. By nature, this way of organizing a society sings of the many. A healthy Jewish democracy is a society where we as a people find common Jewish bonds that knit the society together while celebrating different ways of being one. This is not the story today. The current common bonds of public Jewish law create conditions that allow fanatical men to torment young Orthodox girls walking to school on the streets of Beit Shemesh for immodest dress, tolerate gender segregation on public sidewalks, mandate that women be arrested for publicly reciting the Shema at the Kotel while wearing a talit. The time has come to wake up, Jewish people, and listen to what is being said and see what is being done. Our collective failure to see and hear these facts is a cause of concern.
Can make a difference. Why this rule and that
to another. Within our modern Jewish democracy, there are groups working to move the society from a place of repression and intolerance to a place that vibrates with the excitement of shared belief and behavior. Today, for Israeli Jews, civil marriage and divorce are governed exclusively by the public Jewish law, and this relationship between religion and life creates situations that are extremely disruptive to personal lives. To avoid the intrusion of the rabbinate of Israel into their personal lives, some Israeli couples forsake the chuppah in Israel to exchange marriage vows under civil law in Cyprus. In a growing trend, some couples are being married by rabbis not recognized by the state. Thus, their union is of a different status. These two alternatives exist because the right to be married according to Jewish civil law by a rabbi chosen by the couple is a right denied in the modern state of Israel. This is a cause of concern.
A man has to willfully grant his wife a divorce, a get, before she is freed from the bonds of their marriage. Under Israeli law, the power to grant divorces rests exclusively with the religious courts. It is a fact that some religious courts conspire with immoral husbands, refusing to grant grant wives the freedom to move on with their lives, a fundamental freedom guaranteed under basic civil and moral law. The plight of the Adonai, the chained woman, is an image of a woman being denied the fundamental human right of liberty, of freedom. This is a cause of concern.
Now I'm alone.
permissible for some public buses to be segregated by gender, men in the front and women in the back, in order to accommodate one interpretation of Jewish law. In this case, public Jewish law serves as the basis for gender inequality within public space. Equality, a fundamental principle of democracy, is founded on the Jewish teaching that each individual is created with Tselem Elohim in the image of God. Yet, from the state that claims to embody the source of that teaching come images of women being forced to go to the back of a bus. This is more than a little odd. This is a cause of concern. In this second decade of the 21st century, otherwise known as the 5770s, we, the Jewish people, raise our voices in concern about the state of democracy in the modern Jewish state. This concern reflects the concerns voiced by a majority of the Israeli population in the national elections of January 2013. While a part of the dream has been realized, images from that reality call us to also take notice and to take action. If we are to become a great nation on our land once again, the children of Israel must turn to building a country where matters of personal status and spirit are governed by a public Jewish law that gives meaning and purpose to her people. We must use our hands and our hearts to work together to define and embrace those common elements of core belief and behavior that will bind us as a people, passionate about the just use of power on our land. We begin by adding our voices to the chorus of those who live within, bringing our strength to their sacred song and making it ours as we sing along.
Rights Sacred Song Project, we thank you for coming. And through the generosity of an anonymous donor, we invite each and every one of you to please attend our reception. And we also give special thanks to those who purchase VIP tickets and our sponsors. Thank you very much. Good evening.